Episode 52, man. It has been a full 12
kind of
months,
crazy.
full year. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been
And
it's been a heck of a ride. So we were talking offline about, what should we do for this episode? And what we thought would be, the most valuable, I think, is, we each went away, took some different notes from all the episodes that we had. There were so many notes, and we tried to whittle them down to like our top 10. And in no particular order, we're just going to go through, we'll split them up 5 and 5. And there were way more than 10. Like it was hard to whittle them down to 10, to be completely honest. But these were the ones that we thought hit on a lot of different topics that maybe only this person covered, or this person did exceptionally well, that we thought would give the most value to you guys, our listeners. What's up, everybody? My name's Mike Sjogren, here with my co-host
Emanuele Pani.
We're part of a group of specialized real estate investors you've probably never heard of.
We didn't start with deep pockets or wealthy families, and we don't rely on 401ks, mutual funds, or traditional real estate investing.
In fact, many of us don't even own the properties that fund our freedom. If you ask the money experts out there, they'd say what we do is impossible, yet it's happening every single day.
It's happening through a new niche called short-term rentals.
We are Short-Term Rental Nation, and these are our secrets. What's going on, STR Nation? This episode of the podcast is brought to you by our friends over at Boostly. Now, you may remember episode 40 and 41 with Mark Simpson. He's the founder of Boostly, where we did a 2-part series on the 5 steps for turning lookers into bookers. Mark is the king of direct bookings, and his company Boostly specializes in creating hospitality websites. Yes, for short-term rentals, boutique hotels, they specialize in building websites that turn lookers into bookers. So if you're in the market to get your own direct booking website and stop relying on all the OTAs like Airbnb and Booking.com and paying them their commissions, you need a direct booking website, and Boostly is the company to do that for you. They have several different options for you. They can build everything for you, do it all for you, or you can purchase one of their pre-designed templates and just fill in all your information. Okay? But the cool thing with Boostly is they are the only company that offer a 100% money back guarantee. Meaning whatever you pay for this package with them, if you do not make that money back with direct bookings, they'll give you your money back. So there is literally no risk for you. So make sure you guys go check out boostly.co.uk/STR secrets. Again, that's boostly.co.uk/STR secrets to learn more. What's going on, STR Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Short-Term Rental Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Mike Sjogren, here with my main man and brother from another mother, Mr. Emanuele Pani. What is going on, E?
Good morning, my brother. Woke up a little bit sick today, which is kind of annoying. But I also went out with my 23-year-old brother to Miami this weekend, and I forget that I'm 32 now. So I just think it's my body telling me, like, listen, man, you can go out for dinner like a respectable older person, and then you should go home at a reasonable time, because doing this 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning things, it is not your game anymore, my friends. So, but it was a lot of fun. So busy, man, like busy on all sides. Really pushing super hard on our refi. We should be almost there. I think it's being very helpful. Just the fact that we're putting amazing numbers up this last couple of months. I am really hoping that that's what's going to push the envelope over. But overall, we can't complain. A little over a month away from going away for the summer. So also looking forward to doing that. And it's been a long time.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
That's like the true definition of freedom, right? When you can go away for a month when you own a business and know that when you come back, there'll be some pieces to pick up here and there, but the business is still going to go. And you don't need to.
Yeah. And the most exciting part, man, is even in the 10 years since I've been in business, just how easy things have gotten, and how easy it is to still have WhatsApp and be able to run your team from anywhere you are in the world. AT&T offers this package when you go to Europe that you pay $10 a day, and you have the same exact Wi-Fi and phone plan that you have at home. So I'm literally able to run everything from my phone without any issues whatsoever. So I am from Italy, yeah. And I have Joyce now. So that's gonna be even better because I did it last time. That was 2.5 years ago. And I didn't have as big of a team as I have now. So I'm just can't wait.
I love it, man.
Can't
That's
wait.
amazing.
Yeah. So it's good, man. I am excited about this episode because I did not realize, but we're done with a year of shows.
Episode 52, man. It has been a full 12 months,
crazy.
Full year.
Yeah.
It's been a heck of a ride. So we were talking offline about, what should we do for this episode? And what we thought would be, the most valuable, I think, is, we each went away, took some different notes from all the episodes that we had. There were so many notes, and we tried to whittle them down to like our top 10. And in no particular order, we're just going to go through, we'll split them up 5 and 5. And there were way more than 10. Like it was hard to whittle them down to 10, to be completely honest. But these were the ones that we thought hit on a lot of different topics that maybe only this person covered, or this person did exceptionally well, that we thought would give the most value to you guys, our listeners. So,
and I think some of them are also people that we have now become, we see on a regular basis. And I think I can pinpoint out of this list a couple of people that both you and I have really learned from, in the sense of what are things that we could do better in our business. And we talk about this all the time, right? How open our industry is for us to all like share and help each other. But some of those guys, for example, Mark Simpson has been such a huge, impactful person. I know both in my life and yours. And in a lot of listeners, right? Like I know we have some people in the community that have gone and done some of the things that Mark talks about in his episodes. And they work immediately. So to me, that's just important to re-highlight people that are actually truly making a difference from a place of being humble and helping and wanting to grow the industry. I think everybody that we're going to be highlighting really has that kind-hearted want to help others grow, but also make our industry overall just better.
100%. So I'll kick it off. Going back to one of the earlier episodes, this was episode 9 with Miss Julie George, the $1 Million Host. Now, we both love Julie. We've built great friendships with her over the last few months, actually. We had known Julie before, through some different conferences we were speaking at and different things like that. And then when Clubhouse came out, I feel like we're on Clubhouse with her constantly, and we're texting back and forth and sending each other stuff overseas, and she's just an amazing person. But she's one of the most down to earth people I know, for someone that has had the amount of success that she's had, right? So this is somebody that's gone from 0 to 130 properties in 2 years, $8 million in income off Airbnb, and then sold her business at a very nice sum, which she's not allowed to discuss because there's NDAs in place, but it was a sizable sale. And she's done very well, and she's super willing to give back. But the thing that I wanted to highlight from that episode, and it's episode 9, if you guys want to go back and check that out, episode 9 with Julie George, was how she built up her co-hosting or management business, working with real estate agents. And now a lot of people feel, when I tell them, leverage those relationships, build those relationships, look for those referrals through agents, they're like, well, how much should I pay them for a commission, or how do I compensate them? What I loved about Julie's episode was, she's like, you don't need to compensate them from a monetary standpoint. You have to find a way to add value to those people. So what she would do is she would, talk to those agents and just say, hey, listen, would you want me to put together a free appraisal or a free property analysis for these properties that you're selling that you could show to your sellers to show them how much money these properties could make if they rented them out as a short-term rental? Now, it's totally free, and it helps the agent sell that property. It's giving them another tool for the right buyer to come in and say, oh, this property might be near the top of my budget, but hey, you know what, if you bought this property, say it's a vacation home, or it's an investment property, you wanted to rent it out, like here's how much you could actually make as a short-term rental. And by the way, I have somebody over here that could run everything for you and you could be completely hands-off. It's just a way to add value. And I thought it was so brilliant the way that she explained it and the way that she laid it out, because at the end of the day, business is about identifying problems and offering solutions. So real estate agent, problem, I need to sell a property. Solution, let me help you sell that property by giving you some added value that you can show your clients, hey, here's another alternative that you could use to acquire this property. And I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah. There are a few things that I love about Julie. One is guys realize that she did this before AirDNA, right? So she wasn't, it's now so easy for you if you have an AirDNA membership to do this, right? She did it before AirDNA. But the other thing that she did is there extra strategy on her business, on the management business, to actually package it well, create a system. And I mean, if you were on episode 52 with us, you know, Mike and I have probably made ourselves sick saying that this is a business and you have to treat it like one. But there is no better example than Julie, because Julie treated it like a business, created the systems, created everything. She's super proud of saying that she ran everything through her phone and email. And then she was able to turn around, sell that business, which is ultimately what we should all be doing, right? We should all be working into these businesses with the idea of eventually selling them. And again,
the only other thing I'll throw in there too, there were a lot of nuggets in that episode. One other thing, I was actually listening to it again this morning, that how she built and scaled the business was, it was almost like a franchise model where she would bring people onto her team and they would build up their own little portfolio. She'd give them the leads, but then they would own it and she'd give them a percentage of whatever those properties brought in. So some people, they had, I think she said one of them had like 23 of their own properties. So she was helping newer entrepreneurs build their own little business under her umbrella. And she was kind of supervising it and overseeing it, but she gave them ownership to build it up and get a piece of the action, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah. And I think the next person that kind of comes to mind kind of naturally, also in the sense of just being smart and thinking outside the box, was our friend Braydon Ross out of Canada. He was episode 36. And Braydon, the thing that was amazing to me is how he, so if you don't remember that episode, what he did to grow, he has that website called Plenty of Villas. But what he did to grow is he will go and become the travel agent for hotels. So hotels that weren't using Airbnb and those type of things, he would help them go online. And then, again, very similar to Julie, he saw the same thing. He saw, what's the problem? There is empty hotel rooms that could be rented. And he just created a system that allowed them to rent it. And then going around and understanding, the other thing that he talked about greatly, which another guest talked about too, is using Facebook ads to redirect traffic to his listings that would just add on the conversion, and they would automatically naturally push his listings up on all the different OTAs. It's such a like little dumb thing, but at the same time, how many hotels do you know in your own little town? There are the small mom and pop beachfront hotels that look kind of run down, that you can tell they have zero online presence. And if you're trying to get into the space, would be a great opportunity for very little money into it. And you just need to kind of hustle your way to becoming pretty much a travel agent.
Yeah, he basically became the middleman. And what I loved about Braydon's model was he wasn't handling any of the operations. He was purely just the front end of helping Airbnbs, STRs, and boutique hotels, or some even larger hotels, fill their units. So he would figure out, okay, what does your inventory look like? And he figured out how to do some API integrations with their booking systems. And then he would go out and market those properties and just fill them and take, I think he said 15%. So he was making a commission on any room that he filled, but he didn't even have to fulfill that order. It was just back on the hotel or the STR to then, okay, here's your booking. Just like he became an OTA basically. Yeah. Like he was the middleman of like, okay, I'm going to put this on these platforms and my own website, and any bookings I send you, I'm just going to take a percentage of. So he was able to scale that to 4,000 units. Like that's insane, right? Yeah. Insane. And
but
he's targeting luxury properties too.
Yeah.
Like properties that bring in serious money.
Yeah. And it makes sense because he was able to grow so fast because what he focused on is his unique ability of seeing the opportunity and generating traffic. And he didn't have to worry himself sick, which a lot of new hosts do, about like who cleans it, how do we furnish it, where do we buy the supplies. None of that was even part of his equation because all he was doing is generating traffic, converting leads, and passing the leads on.
Yeah, that was a very eye-opening episode. Very, very cool conversation. The next one I want to talk about is episode 39 with Andrew Bate, who is the founder of Safely. Now, I'm trying to remember who actually introduced me to Andrew, but we met through a mutual connection. I didn't even know what Safely was at the time. And then when we had him on, I was like, this is a brilliant idea. So Safely is a company where you can essentially purchase insurance per reservation. So if you're in a co-host situation where you're managing somebody else's property, you can recommend that the owner get insurance like through a company like Proper and some of these short-term rental insurance companies, or say like, listen, I already have my homeowner's insurance. I just want to use this Airbnb guarantee. And if you want to put it somewhere else, we'll figure it out. They come in and for, 20 to 40 bucks per reservation, something like that. There was a different pricing scale that he talked about in the episode. You can purchase insurance per reservation that will cover the guest if they have any issues or if they get hurt or whatever. They'll cover the owner of the property and they'll cover the co-host. And they were in the works of working on a cancellation policy as well. So if guests could basically buy travel insurance if they needed to cancel, the host would still get paid out and the guests would buy that type of insurance. And I just thought it was a brilliant model because instead of having to buy insurance for an entire year, which you should have some type of homeowner's policy anyway if you're going to purchase insurance. But if you wanted that extra benefit, that extra protection, you could just pay that 30 to 40 bucks per reservation. And I would charge the guest back anyway. I would just create another fee on the platform and bill it back as an added benefit of this type of insurance. So I thought it was a brilliant model. It was episode 39. You guys can check that out. Make sure you go to safely.com, check them out. Really cool episode. Not the sexiest topic, but just, I always find it so fascinating when you meet these founders of these companies that just have these ideas that keep popping up from this industry of like, oh, here's an untapped market that I could come in and fill. And I love those conversations. So again, that was episode 39 with Andrew Bate.
Yeah, no, and it came at the perfect time because it was right after COVID. Like we were kind of coming out of the restrictions for COVID, and it would have been such a powerful tool for hosts to have during those April, May kind of times of 2020 where we all lost reservations and everything else. So I think it came at the perfect time. Talking about people that do things that are auxiliary to our vacation rental industry, my friend Antonio and his wife, Dominique, episode 26, they kind of came in and talked to us about all the unseen things that make an experience a little bit more memorable. So they talked to us about what kind of smells you should use and how to use smells to tap into experiences and how to then use smells to reconnect with your clients. And one of the tips that Dominique gave, and especially if you're in the luxury property space, so you don't have a lot of properties, but you have some great luxury property, it'll be such an easy way for you to reach back out to your clients after they've gone home and send them a little letter saying, hey, we really appreciate you staying with us. We would love for you to come back. And then you spray the letter with the same smell that you have in the property, and that you immediately create that emotional connection. And they also talk to us about the different colors and now all those different aspects can go into curating an experience. And I mean, every major brand in the world does it. Any restaurant, any big chain restaurants, if you go to a casino, like all of those things that you see there, the smells, the colors, they're all made scientifically to get you to have a better experience. And a lot of the times in our industry, that may be what makes the difference between getting a recurring client, just because they won't even maybe able to explain why, but they'll feel this emotional connection to your property, to the experience that you have kind of created for them. Plus, I grew up with Antonio, so it was such a pleasure for me to have him on the show with his wife. But it was just amazing to kind of
that was one of the ones that really got me thinking. Like, it was one of those, like, if you paid attention to it, it was like, wow, this is a pretty simple way to really step your game up and create a unique experience and create a memorable experience, right? Everything from, how they explain tying in the 5 senses to your property, right? The different scents, and making sure that, those different scents created, if it was a coastal property, like a beach house or whatever, you wanted some type of coastal scent. And then the types of, the material of the different blankets, or everything created this like cohesive experience. And I was thinking of that a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago. Chris and I were test driving a couple new cars, and one of them, the car company has their own scent. There's like a little scent thing inside the glove box that constantly, so it's like, this is what a luxury car smells like all the time. Like, this brand, this is what this car is supposed to smell like all the time. And it immediately made me think of them, because it was like, you're getting the whole experience of like, would you like coffee, water, blah, blah, blah. By the way, here's our fragrance that's in all these vehicles and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that is that whole package of creating that, luxury experience for somebody. It was very interesting. I immediately thought of that.
Yeah, that's like taking that new car smell to a whole new level,
Yeah,
exactly. Buy for $4.99. You can also buy a bottle of our fresh cologne for you to match the scent of your car. It's gonna be great. But no, man, it's going back to the business and understanding what makes people do what they do, and understanding the emotional components of being hospitality. I think it's a great blessing, and really being able to make your experience different, and make people feel that you care. That was their whole message, right? And I know that he does that in his restaurant as well, right? The smells that they have in their restaurant, in addition to the food, right? When you walk in, there's particular smells that make you just feel relaxed and cozy and like just home. And it just helps people have a better experience.
Absolutely. All right. Next one I want to cover was episode 34 with Brian Fontenot. A couple things. Brian's one of those guys that we connected with through Clubhouse, and we've had some little mastermind sessions offline with him and some of our other buddies on there. And he is a brilliant entrepreneur and an amazing systems guy. And he was walking us through some of his systems offline. I was just blown away how he has all these crazy integrations and everything. But the one thing that I wanted to talk about was how he's scaling his rental arbitrage business. And a lot of people are asking, like, well, how do you scale it? Like, a lot of our guests have talked about, how they're taking a whole floor of a new development, or, 10, 20 units at a time. And people are like, well, how do you come up with capital for that kind of stuff? Or how do you scale, continually? And I love what Brian's doing, where he's positioning himself as a done for you Airbnb, done for you STR service, where people can basically invest capital with him to furnish a unit. And then Brian does everything for them. And then they have a revenue split. So it's almost like taking the co-host model and applying it to the rental arbitrage model, where he's raising capital to fund his units. And then he's doing some type of revenue split with the investors. The reason I like the way he positioned it, though, it's different. It's more like, hey, this is a done for you service. Like, you can get in the Airbnb game without getting your hands dirty at all. Here's how much it costs to set one of these up. If you put that up, I'll take care of everything for you. So I thought that was a brilliant way to kind of bridge that gap and raise capital to scale, and position it for people that want to get in the business, but maybe they don't want to take the time to learn it, or they're busy professionals or entrepreneurs themselves. And they're just like, hey, you know what? This sounds amazing. I want to get in this sexy Airbnb game. I'm just going to partner with Brian, and he can do it for me.
Yeah. His systems were super impressive. I remember going through all channels Slack, and all the conversations were going there. And he has Slack channels for payments and Slack channels for this. And I have Post-its all over my desk instead, and they just different people work in different ways. But very similar to him, another Clubhouse friends of ours, James Murphy out of the UK, episode 37. I mean, his growth, I think in like 18 months, he went from like 0 to like almost 300 units. And to me, I had a couple notes that I wrote about him. One was his ability to empower his team. So he was very deliberate in creating a team and giving roles to everybody, and then for him to stay very high level. Number two, he works with a lot of developers, kind of similar, right? So if he sees buildings going up, he'll go up to them and he'll try to get the entire block or the entire floor ahead of time. And the third thing is the way that he creates everything is system forward, right? So you see, even I'm friends with him on IG, and when they furnish the units, everything gets put together in a warehouse in those big plastic boxes and containers, and then everything gets dropped off to the property at once, right? So if you are a host and you have maybe 1 or 2 units, you know the experience of having to run to Home Goods or Michael's, or I mean, when Mike came to visit me, he had to come and do a supply run with me too. So just having that mindset of buying everything in bulk, putting it in a central location, packaging everything together, and then dropping everything off, that to me was the clear example of how you can go from 0 to 300 units in 18 months, right? Because you're not running around, you're not like, everything is mechanical, methodical, and everything is like is the same, right? You're replicating the same experience, property in, property out.
Yeah, it's all about at that level. It's how do I create efficiencies and then empower the team? Because furnishing 1 unit is a challenge for somebody that's new. Furnishing 2, 3, 4, 5, it can feel overwhelming. When you're doing 10, 20, 50 units at once, you have got to find a way to streamline that. Otherwise, it'll be a disaster. And having that process set up is huge. But the big thing that I picked up from him, like you touched on, was just his focus on his team and getting the right people in the right seats. Because to get to 300 units and to effectively manage those and be profitable and run a tight ship, you have got to have tight systems, but great people to run those systems for you. Otherwise, you have a hell of a job for yourself to handle all that. And so kudos to James for doing that and sharing his approach and his story with us. That was an awesome episode.
Yeah.
Next one I want to cover is our buddy TJ Tijani. He was episode 44. Gotten to know TJ very well through Clubhouse. One of my favorite people out there. Just an awesome human, really good at what he does. He's great at scaling, but he does this blended approach of owning some units and then rental arbitraging. So I love how he talked about applying the BRRRR strategy to short-term rentals, where, you know, he was out doing wholesale deals. Then he got into doing some BRRRR deals on the long-term rental side, then came across a short-term rental strategy and was able to, you know, multiply his income just by converting those units to short-term rentals, and how he continues to do that. And I think he's in the middle of a 13 unit right now that he's supposed to close on in a few weeks. So kudos to him for that. Excited to see that one. But then how he was able to scale it, applying the rental arbitrage model. But the thing that I want to highlight from the episode was his approach to the landlords, positioning himself as the perfect tenant. And he calls it his perfect tenant program. Again, going back to putting yourself in the mind of what problems do these people have and what solutions can I offer? So trying to think through, if I'm approaching a landlord, they are looking for the perfect tenant. So what is the perfect tenant for a landlord? You know, somebody that's going to pay on time, somebody that's going to take really good care of the property, you know, somebody that's not going to give me any headaches, right? So how does he lay all of that out and position him as that perfect tenant? And that's how he's able to take on all these units. and create long-term relationships, which has allowed him to scale and do this blended portfolio of owning some and rental arbitraging some.
Yeah. All I have to say about TJ is just, I love the guy. Great energy. Again, what I said at the beginning of the episode, one of those people that you can tell is just into helping and serving others, and just goes above and beyond in kind of sharing his journey. And to me, it's such a reminder of the beauty of real estate investing in general. Is the more you understand, the more you can take different pieces of different puzzles and create a completely new picture that works for you and to your unique abilities, right? Because for someone like TJ, I think Airbnb and creating the experience and being able to craft and create a design is such a better use of his time than wholesaling. But what he learned from wholesaling allows him to find great properties that then he can then birth for vacation rentals. So it's just this perfect combination of just everything. So episode 39 was our friend Tia Bailey. Also met on Clubhouse. This podcast could be like a commercial for Clubhouse pretty much. But Tia was fascinating because her host, like, she took us back to how she got into Airbnbs in the first place. And for her, she was actually living with a family in Brazil when she went as an exchange student, left California, went down there. I think California, Seattle, one of those places, but she went down to Brazil and experienced vacation rentals for her first place, and then kind of came back, helped her parents make a ton of money with their houses, and then just realized the opportunity. And one of the things that she did in one of her big properties that she bought was creating Instagrammable walls. And if you don't know what those are, there is a ton of places now all around the country. There's one down in Miami. They're just Instagram museums where they have super funky walls with like huge rubber ducklings or like bottles of some champagne or flowers everywhere. And people just go there and pay to get to take pictures in front of it, right? So again, there is what do you know about our industry and all the different sectors that are kind of coming up, and how you can put multiple things together to increase traffic to your own vacation rentals. And I think Tia did that so beautifully, because also with a crowd space, is that what that's called?
Pure Space.
Pure Space. And then she was using Pure Space for all the different locations that she was having. So that just helps you maximize revenue on your listings in so many different ways. And she was just super creative and super humble about it. So I really enjoyed her episode and learned a lot from her for sure.
Yeah, it was interesting because I keep forgetting the count, but I want to say like 75. Was it 75 or 30 something units that she took over in this new build?
Yeah.
But she designated some of the rooms, instead of making them STRs, they created these amenity spaces where it wasn't even just an Instagram wall, it was an Instagram room. So it looked like something out of a music video that was just so unique. And the name of the game with short-term rentals is to create a unique experience. Like if you can create something unique, even if it's a teeny house or a teeny room, like as long as it's unique, it will do well. And just her vision for this, like I didn't even know that was a thing, creating these like Instagram rooms or whatever. But she's doing really well with it. And it makes sense because when you look at the pictures, like if you go back and check out those show notes, we've got some links to some of her sites. Like you'll see the images and I'm like, yeah, this is amazing. Like people would definitely book that just to go there. And, you know, especially if you're like Instagram or YouTuber or some type of like online celebrity and you want to get cool photos for your branding, like you literally just book that room from her and just spend the night if you want to. But like just having those amenity spaces is huge. So it's just thinking outside the box. And I love that.
And I mean, if you think about it, and you think about your favorite restaurant in your local town, you'll start seeing that a lot of places are kind of creating that, right? A lot of places are creating Instagrammable walls, either with art or flower walls, because they understand that that's free marketing for them in the long term, because they know, especially down in Miami, right? Like every restaurant has some kind of cool wall, some kind of art that you can take a picture. And then obviously what you do is you're gonna tag the place. and they get free advertising, and people just want to go there to eat just for that, and it translates identical to vacation rentals.
100%. So the last one that I am going to highlight is a recent one, episode 48 with our buddy Bill Faeth. There were so many nuggets in that episode that he went through. So Bill focuses on high-end luxury vacation properties, but he's got a cool approach on how he's locating these properties, how he's maximizing his returns. Definitely check that out. It's episode 48. But one of the little nuggets that we'll talk about is how he looks for ways to create different amenities at his properties, right? So as an example, he's got some properties in Gulf Shore, Alabama, where, he's near the beach. He's not on the beach. He'll be like a block over, but he's still close enough. So he'll spend a few $1,000s and buy a golf cart and let the guests use that for free, just as an extra amenity. So you have a beautiful property. There's probably a lot of other beautiful properties, but Bill's place has its own golf cart that you can use for free. And then he also spent, I think he said $500 or $600 and built out a full coffee bar at this property with French presses, espresso machines, Keurigs, like every type of coffee machine you could have. And he did some research to figure out what are the best coffee beans that he could get. He doesn't even drink coffee, but he understands that somebody that's staying in one of these properties, they probably like coffee and they probably like good coffee. So he built out a full coffee bar. Again, it cost him $500 or $600, but he's probably charging $500 or $600 to $1,000 to $2,000 a night. Mm-hmm. So he's looking for different opportunities that he can use, different amenities that he can create at his properties to get a leg up on his competition. Yeah. And I thought that was brilliant because it doesn't have to be anything crazy. I mean, yeah, the golf cart is awesome, but something as simple as a coffee bar, like a legit coffee bar, not just like slapping a Keurig in there. Make like a legit coffee bar with good coffee and notes about where the different coffee comes from and all that. Like it just takes the experience to the next level.
Yeah. And I mean, I would highly suggest going back to listen to the episode one, because the beauty for me with Bill is that he is kind of coming into vacation rental at the end of a super successful career across a lot of different industries, right? And he talks about how he has a marketing agency, so he brings that level of knowledge of marketing and people to the vacation rental space. And what he talked about when he was sharing with us that story about the coffee, it's a key little distinction that you should keep in mind when you are designing and furnishing a place. It doesn't matter what you like. It matters what your guest wants. So the moment you start designing homes, thinking about what does 90% of my guests want, in this particular case, Bill likes tea. I would say 90% of people like coffee. Then you invest in coffee because you're understanding that you're buying, again, it's a business and you're buying an investment property that you're trying to maximize revenue on. So nobody cares about what you want, right? Like if you go to the property later down the road and you see this $800 worth of coffee machines, you look the other way, you put a little tea kettle on the stove and you'll make your little bag of tea. But that's there because it's an investment to your property. The other great thing that I want to highlight about Bill is how he finds property. And he has this whole, he explains it very well on the show, so you should go back and listen to it. But the whole approach of not being tier 1, but being tier 2, which is what Mike was saying, right? He'll be one road away from the lake, one road away from the mountain, one road away from the beach. But that allows him to find the properties where he can buy them for the best price and still able to charge premium rents because he's still close to it. Plus the extra amenities that he puts in every property really allows him to push his ADR. So if you heard Bill talk about on Clubhouse, he talks about his ADR a lot. And then last person that I want to talk about, and he's the only person that we have had on the show twice. It's our good friend, Mark Simpson, episode 31 and 41.
Episode 31, 40, and 41, because we broke that into 2 parts because it was so good.
That's true. So, I mean, just because we've had him so many times on, you guys should know that Mike and I learn from Mark on a regular basis. Very selfishly, that's why we had him on the show 3 times since the beginning. But Mark is famous for, and that's one of my favorite lines of his, is don't build your house on somebody else's land. I've been a subscriber of that since the very beginning. Since I started vacation rentals, I always had my own website. I took the majority of my booking through my direct website, and I really hated using OTAs because I felt always that I had no power. I had no emails, I had no phone numbers, and I had no kind of saying to what people did and how to charge for damages and everything else. So in his first episode, he talks about that. And then on the second episode, he takes us to a 5-step kind of strategy as to, once you have your direct booking website, how do you maximize the eyes on it? And how do you target your traveler, your future guests, through how is decision-making process? And that those 2 episodes alone can make or break your business if you really start implementing what he talks about. And the beauty is that I don't think you spend much money at all, because a lot of it is just understanding how the algorithm works, understanding how to tag your website to show up in certain ways, and a lot of hustling through Facebook groups, which is a big thing that he always talks about as well.
Yeah, 100%. And he's the expert that I go to. Like, he's building out the website right now for the hotel that we're launching next month. Like, when I have questions about marketing, direct bookings, booking websites, like, he's the guy I call. Like, I've literally got him on speed dial on my phone. Like, that is like what he focuses on. That is what he specializes in, and he's really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely check those out. It was episode 31. And then 40 and 41 was a 2-part series, the 5 steps to turn lookers into bookers. And it was so good. Like, you could literally have a notebook full of notes just from those 3 episodes.
Yeah. And he also has a great YouTube channel, boostly.co.uk. And he's another one of those people that just wants to serve people. His passing his story. They had a huge family farm. So he's been in hospitality his whole life, and he understands, as a kid of hospitality, he understands the power of increasing your bookings, period, by increasing your direct bookings and your returning customers. And he just gives so openly. Like, I mean, he organized 3 24-hour clubhouse rooms since the beginning of the year. And I think I've left every single one of those just knowing something new or choosing to implement something new in the business. So I'm super grateful that he's on our side.
100%. And I'll plug their website again too. They're actually the sponsors of the podcast this month as well.
Yeah.
So it's www.boostly, boostly.co.uk/STR secrets. So make sure you guys use that link, head over there. The cool thing that I like about Mark is he puts his money where his mouth is too on the websites. So if you work with Boostly on your direct booking website, they have a full 100% money back guarantee that if you don't make your money back from direct bookings from the site that they build you, they'll give you your money back, because they're that confident, because they're that good at what they do. So it's a no-brainer. Like, when you're going to build your own direct booking website, just have them do it for you, or purchase one of their pre-designed templates. Like, this is all they do. Like, they are the company to go to for your direct booking. So just use them. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Just use them. Mm-hmm. It works.
Yeah.
So
100%.
So that's it, man. That's our top 10 from the first 52 episodes of the Short-Term Rental Secrets podcast. I can't believe it's been a year, man. Like, we've had a lot of episodes, but I didn't even realize that we were coming up on a year until I started looking at the episode numbers. I'm like, holy cow. Like, it's been almost a year.
No, and I am super grateful to you for our friendship always, but also to all of our listeners. I know we have some of them that have been with us from the very beginning, and I'm just grateful. I hope that our friends and just our show has helped you create financial freedom for yourself this year, or if you're not there yet, that you are in the process. I know I have a good friend, Heather, that actually bought a place, or she's about to close on a place, even though she didn't buy it with me, which is okay. But she just sent me a picture the other day that she ordered all of her stuff. And so it's that exciting. She's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, just trust the process, right? Like you're doing the right things. Just trust the process. But it makes me happy. You know what I mean? Like, it makes me happy. And that was our intention over a year ago when we decided to do this, is just kind of share all of it. And we've been super blessed to meet some amazing people along the way. So I'm just grateful.
And create that community too. Like, make sure the community's grown, right? We've got the free community on Facebook, the Short-Term Rental Secrets group. I think it's up to 1,400 or 1,500 people now that, we're popping in there. We're answering questions. Sometimes we're live streaming in there, just trying to add as much value. But one of the keys to our success, like with E and I, was we're big on masterminding, right? Like, we get together, we surround ourselves with a group of people that are all moving in the same direction, that have big goals, that are going to support, encourage, and challenge us. And when you're around those types of people all the time, like, it's going to help you move the needle forward. And that was part of why we created this free community on Facebook, was to help support, encourage, and challenge people to keep growing, to keep moving forward, to keep chasing their dreams, and to just go for it. And it's totally free. So just check that out. We'll have the links in the show notes, but if you go on Facebook, it's a Short-Term Rental Secrets group, and we'd love to have you in there. So that's it for this episode, guys. Thanks so much for being with us. Episode 52, a full year of the Short-Term Rental Secrets podcast. I am so grateful that you are here. And if you know anybody that is in the business or looking to get in the business, make sure you share this podcast with them. Every single week, we're looking to find new guests to bring you as much value as possible and help you launch, automate, and scale your short-term rental business. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week. Hey, STR Nation, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. And in the comments, let us know what topics you want us to cover on upcoming episodes, and we'll make sure to get that in the books for you. And if you really want to learn how to launch, automate, and scale your short-term rental business, if you want to go deeper, then check out our free masterclass at strsecrets.com.